this is still a real struggle.
Yeah,
Like, I looked when I was younger, I continued to think that, like, we're gonna grow up and out of certain things, and there's
correct.
other things, and I'm like, "I think we just keep circling the mountain a little bit higher every year."
That's right. I remember Andy Stanley said there's problems to solve and there's tensions to manage. And that helped me so much because, like this one, and like work life balance and like your health, you think, well, if I
Yeah.
learn enough, read enough, pray enough, I'm going to solve it. And then you're like, oh, and I'm feeling it now. I'm like, my first identity crisis, I would say, is when I left Chick fil A corporate and stayed at home as a mom
Mm.
and was like, oh my gosh,
Who
like
am I?
I am Courtney that works at Chick-fil-A on the cows, and I still bring it up. I was only there like 6 years, like 20 years ago, and then it morphed into I'm a mom of good kids, and if they weren't you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm a
Oh,
mom of kids that are pulled together, and then I'm like, "No," then it got real, and then now that Ella's left, it's like, "Who am I?" Like, it is
uh,
the hardest thing to detach motherhood from my, like, core of my being. So tell us some of your moments of, like, wrestling with
yeah.
that.
Well, I it's interesting because I can think of the big ones like that. For so many years, we struggled with infertility, and
Mhm.
so in some ways, I felt like I didn't like that at all, but I was the girl who just couldn't get what she wanted.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden, not only did we adopted pretty fast, and then I had these 3, well, ultimately 4 surprise pregnancies. And then I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I didn't even know it. I was gonna be a mom of a huge family," right?
Wow,
But
yeah.
I what's interesting is as I've been thinking about identity, I'm like, "Oh, I think some of the struggles for me are often in the smaller ways too." Like
Yeah,
so some of what we actually are coming off of probably I mean, I laugh about the mold and the moving and all that, but we are coming off of probably the hardest year of our entire lives.
yeah,
And leading up to this year has been a lot of health stuff. I have Lyme disease, and we discovered that in the midst of all this. So I think one of my challenges has been like what I pictured motherhood to be versus what it actually was, especially
mm,
when I got sick.
yeah,
And just like literally, I cannot do all the prep for Thanksgiving or all the Advent things I want to do. I can't. And then I've got all these kids. I can't be at senior night at the same time that I have a sick, 2-year-old at home, all those. And so I feel like my biggest struggle with identity has been in the minutia of like I already think of myself as a mom, but here I
yeah,
am like kind of in many ways failing as a mom.
yeah,
And so then who am I? Like, it's kinda like you said, like, I'm a mom of good kids, like, we can feel like, "Oh, I'll take on this role even if it
yeah,
wasn't what I thought it would be, but as long as I rock it."
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
and then
then
I'm like, that's the thing, is like, I don't claim I'm a mom of good kids. I felt like and I guess that's how you know your identity is whacked out is when something bumps up against that. So say, like,
yes,
you're like, I've never been an athlete, but I can imagine if you've always been a gymnast and all of a sudden you're hurt, you're like your core is
yeah,
shaken, and so if my
it's
kids
so
would do
true.
something that was unkind at school or against this little thing
Yeah,
I'm blogging about, I'm like, "I blog about being kind in the" and they steal your kid's toy, I'm like like, it just rattled me, and I kinda had an over exaggeration of a response, and I was like, "There's something up with that." Like, there's something up with
absolutely.
me having an irrational response. So tell us about that, like, because I think in our Western culture, we're like, a good mom goes to senior night. A good
Yeah,
mom is, at every field trip. So how did you reconcile like, God, this is where you have me and I'm still a mom, but I'm not able to do the things I
gosh,
want to
I mean,
do?
for me, I wouldn't say I still am very much reconciling it, but I would say I'm starting to realize after all these years, like, the time where your kid fails and you have egg on your face or the time where you just don't show up, or I think of, like, a dear friend of mine who missed, like, Parents' Day at school, like, just missed it on the calendar. Her
Yeah.
son's like, "Mom, you weren't there," like, every mom's nightmare, you know? And I just think it's those times that I'm starting to realize I'm like, "Lord, you are allowing this." Like, for me, it has been this is not just a situation I need to fix so that I feel better. This is actually me an opportunity for me to lean in, like, you are allowing me to be sick in bed on the one day I just cannot be sick.
Yeah.
And laying in that bed going, "God, how do you see me when I am a solid C minus mom?"
Yeah.
And I just feel like we can listen to so many sermons about it, really, and like read books on it. But like mamas who are listening, like the thing that you feel like you're failing at right now is probably a God given opportunity
Wow.
because if we just don't we don't learn it by reading or hearing it, we learn it by living it, and so I just look and I'm like, my failures are actually, I think, probably the most important things happening in my life right now.